All right, everybody, welcome back to 10 Gauge Outdoors. We're going to do the video on the John boat that I promised, the little 14-foot John boat. I do want to start out by telling you that I appreciate all the comments and the subscriptions. I thank you so much. Continue to watch and share and like and subscribe too if you would like. We're going to just continue with good content with everyday outdoor activities that normal people do. So to get with the boat here, let's give you a little background of it. It is a 1974 model Delhi manufactured boat from Delhi, Louisiana. Built in 1974, like I said. It's got its placard still on there, VIN numbers and everything, in great shape. That company is out of business. Best I can understand, it went out of business in the early 80s, bought by somebody else, and so on and so forth. But the motor is a 1969 9.5 horsepower Johnson. There are more of those motors running today than you would possibly think. With all the research I've done on that, there are people running them motors just like any other day. I mean, it's ridiculous how many of those motors are out there. They call them bulletproof motors, as a matter of fact, because there's just not a lot to them. But we'll talk about more what I did with it, or did to it, or had to do to it. When I got this boat here, I purchased the boat, the motor, and the trailer for $500. Couldn't pass it up out of a fella's yard. Driving by and saw it, decided I needed it. But we totally redone the trailer, sanded it down, painted it, put new wheels, 8-inch wheels on there. It had some big old car tires on there. Want to try to keep it low and get it in the water as deep as possible, as quick as possible, so we don't have to drive real far into the water. But 8-inch wheels, new wheels. We did the bearings on there, new lights all the way through the trailer. We did some redoing on the motor. When I got the motor, I pulled it. It had some compression. Thought maybe it would be salvageable. There's not a lot to them, like I said. When I was a kid, I really wanted that motor to run because when I was a kid, my uncle had a boat with a motor like that on it. And man, the smell of that two-stroke oil burning in that gas, man, it was awesome. It's just not something that you can get anywhere. But that brought back a lot of memories for me, and I'm glad it's running again. Matter of fact, I have another video on that, a little short video of showing you my Johnson, and it's running. You can check that out if you'd like. And so that's our boat, trailer, and motor, all for $500. I'll tell you what I've got in it right now. I gave $500 for all of it, and by the time we got done painting the outside, because we stripped it down, we used an epoxy sealer on the whole boat for this design for John boats or aluminum boats. And then the paint we use is Alumahawk paint, John boat green. That is specifically designed for aluminum boats because it has an acid that etches into it. And it really stays on there like a factory paint. It's not going to peel off in the water. It's not like spray paint or what have you. We did spray paint the inside, but this Alumahawk paint, I would definitely recommend it, but it is $100 for a gallon. So, and a gallon, I have some left over after painting the outside of this boat, the bottom of it. I did not paint the inside with it because I didn't think it was necessary. It's going to get tore up and scratched up and everything else anyway. But the outside, I definitely wanted a good barrier. The boat had no leaks in it when I filled it up with water and brought it home, so I was really thankful for that. But I did seal it, like I said, because I wanted to make sure if I was going to have a problem that I wasn't aware of sometime soon, I wanted to prolong that or prevent it altogether. But it is an awesomely sealed paint and sealer. Inside was spray painted. The cooler was spray painted the same color as the inside, just to kind of make it disappear a little bit. But we'll go over each individual deal and let y'all know what we did, how we did it, and maybe give you some ideas. All right, to start off with, we did this bunk is what I wanted to tell you about to start with, because it came with the little roller bar for like a V-hull boat, and that'll work. But mine's obviously a flat bottom boat, and I wanted something to come up against it, flat bottom, flat to flat. And then on the bottom here, I've got what's actually called a John boat bunk board. But it's supposed to go on your trailer where it is there in any kind of position, up and down, forward and reverse. So that when my boat comes in on the back bump boards, that it comes up off that roller, and then it just touches on this and then squeezes up against here. It gives me a good capture on my little boat. I know it's just a little John boat, but I want to make sure everything's just so and everything operates good. But spare tire, we mounted it right there. It's bolted on. Added a wheel to it. Put some new rope on there and put some new bolts and what have you and everywhere. But I made this one myself and carpeted it and everything because you couldn't really buy one. And then down there I bought that one online. We also added a cleat up front so we could tie off our main anchor. I do have an anchor for the back and one for the front in case we want to just sit still in a small creek. But in a small boat, I don't really want to be that still. Usually one anchor is enough for this boat. It's a 15-pound little small anchor for rivers, and but we got us a cleat up front, and we got 2 headlights. These are Traveler's headlights from Tractor Supply. They're only about 3.5 inches wide, 2 inches deep, and about 1.5 inches tall, but they are extremely bright. There's 2 bulbs in each one, and they are really bright enough to see down the river a little bit, see if you got any logs coming up you're gonna run over, or just see what's going on. I can turn these if I'd like to see something on the bank. But that's kind of up front. Now also, as you can see, we have nav lights here. We have red and green. Green's on the right side and red's on the left. So they are extremely bright. They are ABS plastic, waterproof, rubber seal. There's only one bolt that goes through the boat itself to hold it on, and the wiring. But we'll look at that again in a minute too. But there's the front and what we've done so far. All right, the front here. A couple other things about this boat being a 1974 model. Nowadays, the little 14-foot boats come with 14-inch walls. This boat has 18-inch walls. I'm thankful for that. It gives me 3 inches more of riding higher in the water before water can actually splash in. It gives you a little more room, and also I can carry a little more weight and get down deeper if I need to. And this boat also came with 4 seats, as you'll see in a minute. The one up front, and then 2 bench seats in the middle and 1 bench seat in the back. Now this is the original aluminum seat that was up front, or step, or whatever you want to say. I want to put stuff up under there, but it all just kind of fell out. There was nothing holding it. So I took a 1/2-inch piece of plywood, and untreated plywood that is, and put Thompson's water seal on it, and then gave it a few days, and then I carpeted it with spray glue and some staples, and the top was glued on with contact cement straight to the aluminum, and it is there. I'm telling you, it's been in the sun, it's been in the water, it is there. And this is a boat grade carpet. I got it from a carpeting place that sells boat carpet itself, and I ordered it. It's a little more expensive than regular AstroTurf or what have you, but I do like it, and it's been in here a year now, and it hasn't really worn, and it's not faded. It's really nice carpet. I think I bought I want to say it was about a 10 by 12 for everything I wanted to do in this boat, and I had some left over, and I want to say it was about $100 for that 10 by 12. But anyway, it's going to be the longevity of it. But I used a cardboard template to get it real close to the size like you see, and then I cut out the hole and carpeted it there. And I've got room for 1 anchor and a possible another anchor if I want to put it up front, a life jacket, and 200 foot of rope up here. So I do like having that there. It makes it look cleaner and nicer. And you can see over here, there's only 1 bolt for that navigation light, and then the other hole you drill to pull your wires through, and it's got a little peg, a little plastic peg that holds it there to keep it from turning once you tighten it down. But it's watertight, nice, and ready to look. And I like to keep my, you can see how clean this is. I've got some of this corrugated plastic up under here with all the wiring from that side to this side, and then coming down up under here, and then running along the length of the boat in the corrugated plastic on both sides in some places. But that's the front step that we did. All right, I want to talk about a couple of things here. These nets, these are tackle webs. You can get them online, tackleweb.com. This particular one, I put in here so that I would have a watertight box where you can put your keys, wallet, sunglasses, anything that's important to you. You don't really want to get wet. And for really and truly, I mean, if you look at out there on the water in a little boat, you try to be as safe as you can. Stay away from bigger boats, a lot of wakes, just kind of be in your little private area if you can. But you never know, even if everything you got is solid and in good working condition and working order, you never know what some other moron's going to do out there on the water, because there's a lot of crazy people boating that probably shouldn't be. But so I've got these here, one in the front and one in the back, so you can put anything important in there that you want to keep dry. And if worst case scenario happens, then you can grab this one box and we can let the boat go, and you've got everything that you really need and that's important to you, especially in order to get out of there, maybe make a phone call or whatever, get your keys, get back in your vehicle. This one over here just has like a fish grabber and some pliers and a knife in there for the person up front here, so they can have what they need, not have to be borrowing and asking and grabbing and going back and forth. Everybody in their little station has got what they need to operate the way they need to. Also here, these are monster rod holders. It just screws into the base there, and when you get it to where you want it to be, you just tighten it down, tighten the screw down and give it a little turn. It's there, it's good to go. These are monster rod holder bases. They're about $7.50, $8. But they're John boat brackets is what they're called there. And I've got 4 of these, two in the front, 2 in the back. And got rags up for each person. Got everything situated where each person has what they need in their little station. And I wanted to make sure that in this boat, everything we put in here is what we needed, and nothing that we didn't. And everything that we put in here had to serve several uses so that we could be compact. That was kind of my mindset through the whole deal. Wanted to do a whole lot of stuff, but then I always thought, well, this is a 14-foot boat. Keep it small, the boat's small. The way you got more room to enjoy it. So up front here, where this person is going to sit, and these seats, these are probably 1985, 1980 seats. They have a wood bottom with screw inserts, and I'm having trouble finding some seats that I really like that are as good as these, because these are metal on the side. They've been around for a while, it looks like, but they're in good condition. They sit well. So I'm going to use them until I find something else that I like that doesn't cost more than what I want to give for. These things are expensive, but I don't know if you've checked, but check boat seats here lately and see how expensive they are. But I do want to make sure that the point is up front, I want nothing but the person fishing and the fishing pole, and that's it. Back here in the back, he can use for storage for his tackle box or anything extra he wants, and keeps it out of the way. The middle is sort of the bed of the truck, if you will, kind of like a truck bed. But up here, I wanted everything useful, right there at hand's reach, and open so they can use and relax and not be, crowded with a bunch of garbage that you don't really need. But that's those few things. Let's go to the next. All right, something I want to mention about the lights while we're looking at it up front. You can see these little strip lights. It's got a plastic coating, rubber seal around it. Screw them together and it compresses the rubber seal so it's waterproof. 6 little LEDs in each one of these, and you can see there's one on each bench, one in the front, middle, and the back, and then there's 3 more on that side. So there's 6 of these in the boat altogether. They're not extremely bright, but they are pretty bright, and wanted them there so they kind of shine forward and not in the eyes of the person sitting. It's brighter looking at the boat than it is looking at this way, but it lights up this area and the middle area for all your gear, and the other area enough to where you can tie hooks at night. 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning sitting on the water, you can tie your hooks and lures. You can see what's going on without losing your night vision, because you need some night vision just to be able to look over at the water after you look into the light, see a fish, see a big bobber or something maybe we've got going on, big catfish float or something. So, but we have 6 of those, and wanted you to see that while we had a good angle on it. All right, in the center we have our cooler. This is the biggest item in the boat, but it's one of the most important. It's a 48-quart cooler from Walmart. I painted it, like I said, the same color as the interior of the boat. Just kind of let it disappear and it doesn't stick out too bad, but I like the way it looked, and it has 8 rod holders on there. We usually have a cast net laying by the side of it on this side, and one of the Fraybill live bait holders that we throw over on the side of the boat. Sometimes we use brim for catfishing for flatheads and what have you. That's about the only live bait I use, but anyway, but the cooler has to serve more than one purpose because it's too big and it takes up too much room just to be a cooler. So 8 rod holders. You may be thinking, well, why you need 8? Well, 2 people in the boat and they got 2 rods they're going to fish with each, so that's 4 rods right there. And then so that's the back of it. And then you got 4 rods left for each one of you have a bait pole or 2, and then a net. You know, there you go. I mean, you got plenty of room. Everything sticks up in the middle. It's out of the way. You can reach and get it, put back what you don't need, and it stays out of the way. It's not laying down across the seats or in your way, taking up leg room, getting caught up and mixed up or broke or whatever. I really like that fact. Put that together last year and tried it out and kind of remade it. And this is the second cooler that I've done for this boat because I changed it so much I kind of tore up the other cooler. But these are 2x2s, about 1 inch shy of being the full length of the cooler. 2 of those, one on top and bottom, and these are 1x2s. 2 of these, 2 on each side. We did both those with stainless steel screws. Everything in this boat, every screw, nut, bolt, everything is stainless steel. That costs a little money as well, but it's a one-time deal. They're not going to rust, and I have rust running down my paint job. I wanted it to look good. So everything is stainless steel, and it did go through all the way through the cooler. So that's 12 different holes we put in the cooler. But when we put the bolts and stuff in there, we used epoxy sealer and around the bolts and in the holes. So everything is absolutely still 100% watertight. But putting those pieces of wood on there gave me something to screw these to besides just in the side of the cooler. That was a little flimsy. I tried that already. But let's look at the inside of the cooler. All right, now the inside, I said everything needs to serve 2 or 3 purposes or more, as many purposes as possible when I put something in the boat. You can see here, that's where I keep my cutting board as well. You can see we've got the bolts that go through the sides there, all the way through, big fender washers and epoxy sealant. You see something sticking out there still, but has to serve several purposes. So whether you put anything in it or whether you don't, it's a big enough cooler to hold some rods because they're going to be putting on the bottom or standing on the bottom of the boat, and that's just kind of keeping them upright. So it does real well if you don't even have anything in the cooler. But this one side, I'm going to put my cutting board on the side here. But these are the insides of the zipper coolers like you get at Walmart. And whenever the zipper cooler tears up, I always keep the inside because it's always going to be good for something. And it seems like this idea here, they're made just for it. But we're going to put these in. And what I use them for is I always put 1 bag of ice in the middle. Dump the bag out in the middle, and then it'll get hard and frozen after sitting there a minute, and it'll keep these in there. Nothing will be sloshing around or have you, and it'll stay where it's supposed to be when you're riding down the water. But on this side, I put frozen skipjack or frozen shad in there, and I'll cut up some and put it in this bucket here, or a bunch. It just depends. That way they're ready to go on the hook, and I don't have to cut every time. And then also keep worms in there too, in the little worm buckets, and put that on top of whatever's frozen in there. But I'll keep that all bait right here. On this side, this one just kind of floats around or comes out, but on that side I keep drinks or water, or we put candy bars in there. They've kept all day, no problem. They're not directly in the ice, but they're cool. And sandwiches, all that kind of stuff, drinks and food goes in that side only. And then, like I said, the ice in the middle. Sometimes I'll put this one in there like this, and I may put extra food in there or something. I may leave it out altogether. I've got an extra container there that I can put some stuff in for food or what have you. But that way, if I'm going to catch some 2 and 3 pound catfish to keep for eaters, I've already got ice in the middle. I just throw them right there in the middle, and they'll keep on ice until we get back. But you got a place for your food, drinks, snacks, whatever. You got a place for your bait. They stay separate from each other. They don't get a lot of fish guts that's in here poured out into the ice and swimming around and everything. Is nasty. So everything stays separated and everything has a place. So this is my cooler for my food, my drinks, my cooler for my bait, cooler for live fish or for fish that I'm going to keep to eat maybe, or just ice that maybe you need to use for on yourself to cool down. And then it's also my rod holder, my net holder. it serves several functions. I really like this cooler. Maybe that gives you an idea out there. All right, let's talk about we're still in the center of the boat. We have these ropes here that's got a knot tied because you have pole guides on each side of the boat where you can put a top on the boat the old way. A lot of that's not in boats nowadays, but we tied the rope off on each side, one, so we can tie something down if we need to, or just loop something around, take your life jackets off, put them back here, clip them on it so they don't fly out. Just a rope on each side for any use it might be. Also, here and on this side, we have tie downs for our rods. These are actually kayak tie downs. A lot of kayak stuff works well for john boats as far as size and what you need it for. But it's just a little bungee, lay your thing around there, wrap the bungee around once, and then clip it on there and it'll stay down. I usually put my rods here along the length of the boat when we're traveling to wherever we're going, so I don't have to put them in the back of the boat or back of the truck and they get all beat up and everything. Lay them on a nice seat right there and they stay straight and out of the way, and we can move on down the road and not have to worry about them flying out. So I do have that. Here, we've got 2 oars. These are expendable, retractable. And these are also actually kayak paddle holders. And they work well on a john boat. But they just snap right in there and they'll stay where they're supposed to be, and they're not floating around in any way and stepping on them and tripping up on them. They're right there, and if you need them, everybody knows where they're at. And you're done with them, you can put them right back. But that's pretty much the center of our boat there and what we keep in it. All right, this is my pride and joy part of this boat. These seats, like I was telling you, have 4 seats. The original aluminum seat set really low for my liking, and I wanted to get it up to where you could sit at almost a usual chair height. So I built these and put them on each bench, except for the front. The front is the carpet's glued directly to the metal because I'm not going to really sit up there that much. But these have 2x2 frames that I built with 1/2-inch plywood on the top, all untreated wood that was treated with Thompson's water seal. And then I carpeted it with spray glue or contact cement and then staples. Now the front seat and the back seat, they don't move or anything, but up here you can see that I have a control panel, and it has a 12-volt cigarette lighter deal, and it's got 2 USB ports. They work great. I got that off of Amazon. I forget the name of it, some knockoff Chinese name, but got 5 switches there. 4 of them's hooked up. 1 is still just kind of there in case one tears up or I can't hook up something else to it. But this is my powerhouse, if you will. Everything runs from here. But here's your other 2 tackle webs here. I've got one over there for my little tools and what have you, and another dry box. But if you take this here, we've got hinges on the back, and you can see how I built these with the carpet. But I carpeted the inside and all around everything. These 2x4s are in there because I thought about possibly putting a seat up here in the middle. I just don't know if I want to yet or not. I found myself getting over there and laying down on it while I'm waiting on the fish to bite. But you can see how I built that with 2x2s and the plywood. The carpeting looks real nice. I have a great deal of experience in carpeting way back in years ago, so I was able to do that myself. But this is the only one that moves, but that's how the other ones are. I built those and screwed them from this little lip up under on the front and back where the seats are. And I put these inside, so by measuring I knew where they were, and I could bolt my seats down with the little, because they swivel, the seats swivel, and I could put my swivel there and everything, and know where I had the wood to capture the screws that I was putting in it. I didn't want to just go in the 1/2-inch plywood. That's not enough for me. I wanted something sturdy. So, but anyway, these are 2 batteries. As you can see here, is, you know, people don't really, you don't have batteries taking up, that's another thing, taking up space. I didn't want it taking up space if I could keep from it. So I had this idea from some other people. Got battery boxes sitting in here, and I took out everything, cleaned it out, painted it, and put 1-inch foam board down in there about 3 layers and cut it out so that I could put this battery box in there, and that way the battery can't move inside. And inside I have my control panel, and I also have a positive and negative bus bar back here that everything runs off of. So on this battery over here, all the lights, some submersible pump, all that stuff runs off of that. And this battery over here, the only thing that runs off of this is the trolling motor and the Lowrance depth finder. So I use a lot of the trolling motor a lot, so I want to make sure I have enough, juice to go all day, which this battery does fine. It's a Duralast from AutoZone, deep cycle marine battery. Number 24 is the smaller one. And that one over there hardly gets used because I have that switch up top to cut the power on that battery, because if I didn't, the switch panel would light up blue every time I connected the battery to it. So I've got the battery connected to that switch, and that switch goes to my bus bar, and then everything's run off of that bus bar. But right now with it off, nothing works except the trolling motor, and it has an on and off switch, and the fish finder, which it has an on and off switch. So when they're off, they're not using power and draining my battery. But if this was lit up, and especially the gauge showing you 12 volts, it's just going to run all the time. So I need a way to cut that off. And I also wanted a way to cut it off in case I have a fire problem or a short circuit or anything that happens. I can go over there and switch that, and it takes the power from the battery, power from everything, shuts everything off. Nothing gets power. So I did like that aspect of it. That works really great. It gave me about a foot of space in here to put all my wiring, plenty of room for 2 batteries, and I can put some stuff inside here if I wanted to. Over there it does have a horn. My John boat may be the only 14-foot John boat in the state of Mississippi with a horn on it, but by God, I've got one. This is just a little piece of seat belt that I got off of something, put it there, but there's no it doesn't bolt down or anything. It's heavy enough to where it'll stay down, it doesn't flop, and you can still sit on it, and it doesn't hit any of the wires. But I really like that aspect of the boat because I've hidden my batteries, got plenty of electronics to run things and have creature comforts, and they're not anywhere. So when people walk up, it's like, well, where are you running everything from, because they don't see no batteries. I don't have a battery in the back, and not having the battery in the back takes weight from the back and allows me to ride even higher. Puts 2 batteries in the front, which gives me stability. Believe it or not, folks, with nothing in this boat, when I first put it in the water just to see how it's going to do with the motor, after I worked on the motor first and got it running before I did anything else to the boat. And after I did, this boat was really rocky with just me and my daughter in there when we were trying it out, and I had nothing in it. I think I had a paddle, a gas can, and a motor. That was it. And there is in fact a time or an amount of weight that you can put in a boat that will make the boat sturdier before you get to where you got too much weight in the boat. So these 2 batteries, I mean, it's rated for 3 people. So 1 battery would be great, but 2 batteries in a 14-foot John boat may be a little bit heavier, but it's rated for 3 people, and we only put 2 people in there. It still will ride 3. I've had 3 people in here, and no problem. Now, that right there is probably the best thing I've done. The neatest thing anyway. Let me show you from the other side. You have your horn here. The horn is hooked up at all times. I won't be able to mash the horn without turning the switch on every time if I want to mash it real quick. And when I want to turn the switch here, turn it to green, and that allows your cables to connect so everything gets power if you turn it on. And of course you got blue lights and everything that comes on inside. I turn that off, and nothing has power. You can't get power to anything until you turn that on. I do love that. That is a must-have right there. If you're going to have a battery in a boat with a lot of electronics, lights, and different things, definitely recommend a kill switch. But that's where all my power runs from. And it's clean. I want to talk about this flooring here for a second. This flooring is through the whole boat. It came from, again, from Tractor Supply. I've gotten a lot of stuff from Tractor Supply, but this is 3/8 thick. It's rubber matting like in a shop or something like that, but it's not very heavy, and it gets me up a little bit closer to these ribs of the boat so that I'm not tripping over those. But I didn't want to put a floor in the boat, because if I put plywood and foam like you see on YouTube and carpeted, it looks great, but all I can see is mud and water, nasty mildew and catfish slime, and I'm not vacuuming this thing up all the time. I want to wash it out. So keep in mind, this is a aluminum boat. It's going to be very hot at times. These seats, if you're sitting in them, they don't get hot. The tops of my seats here, the benches, they have wood and they're carpeted, so they're not going to get as hot as the aluminum, so to your touch or to your legs or to your arms or your feet. The floors here, got something biting on me. The floors here have the rubber on there, and the reason I did that was so that you could be you could be barefoot, and it does feel good barefooted out in the hot sun. It's not as hot. You can sprinkle your little water on your feet or something, throw it in here, and it does real well. But that aluminum gets extremely hot. And if you want to be barefoot, you can do that. It's not as hot, and if you got mud and water or anything that gets on your feet from getting out on the bank, get back in the boat, it goes through the holes and through the ribs and out the back when we pull the plug or rinse it out. So you can actually take these out, stack them up, rinse the boat out, put them back in, and you're good to go. They're not bolted in or glued in or anything like that. They're just sitting there. They're heavy enough to stay going down the road, and wasn't very expensive. I think they come in 3-foot sections, so it was really good for me having a 1436 John boat. But as far as the floor, though, it is through the whole boat, front, back, under the front there, and everything. Some more rod holders. These here, I did put these posts on here. It didn't have anything on there like that. I knew, and when I went to put the boat in the first time, it was a little windy. I had trouble keeping it on there because I was by myself. But these are a must too, just to kind of have some boat guides in order when you pull your boat up on a trailer, if it's going back and forth, it won't move more than an inch one way or the other, and it'll still be on the trailer good enough to pull it out. Those are a must. I had to put those on there. Not much to talk about here, but this is where I keep my light pole, and it's got some mounts here that I got that's also for kayaks, but my light pole, my fire extinguisher, and these ropes here, they stay in there tied off, just because when I use my front rope to tie off to a dock, I may, depending on which side the dock's on the boat, I use that rope to tie off on. Look at the back of the boat. All right, on the back of the boat here, that's where I mounted my fish finder in the seat, on the seat there across from me. I keep my life jacket back here wedged in there. 6-gallon tank. We have an emergency box where I keep stuff like a emergency kit or a first aid kit or what have you. Garbage bags, extra tools, just anything that I'm gonna need that I don't need a lot of times, but I might need it. I keep that in that watertight box. We do have a Minn Kota. What is this? The Endura. It's just a $100 trolling motor, 30-pound thrust, and then of course our 9.5 horsepower Johnson back here as far as what have you. The trolling motor is really for in case this one quits out on me and I can get back home. I use it some trolling. I don't do a lot of bass fishing and trolling. I do a lot more anchor fishing. But I do use it, and I probably use it a lot more as I go along. But got a boat cleat on the back here. It's one of the zigzags. It's not, these plastic ones break. I had one on the front, it broke with a lot of tension on it, but I'm not going to use this one that much, so I'm just going to leave that one there. Let's talk about something here that is a little bit unique. If you can see here, you see that switch down there? That is, I can lift that up. I can get my hand on it. Well, if you can see there, it's a plug-in for my trolling motor. and here's the end here. And that's what I use, where I run the wires through the side. So you can see here there's the plastic corrugated wire harness there on both sides, depending on where I needed it. But I've run it around to the battery, and that's where this trolling motor hooks into. The reason I did that was because if I don't want to use the trolling motor, I want to take it off, I don't want to have to unwire it from a battery. All I got to do is unplug it, and I can take it off, and I can leave everything wired up and the battery in there. The trolling motor is on the back, and that's where it's going to stay. This is kind of the command center. I don't drive out to somewhere and then jump up front and fish. I fish from right here. I don't never move if I'm by myself. But this particular trolling motor, I can have it down and still operate my big motor right or left all the way, and the propellers and nothing gets connected or hits on each other or anything. And the reason for that is because the fish finder I have here, it runs down the length to my trolling motor, and the little bullet is on the bottom of the trolling motor. You can see right here. But I use it for my fish finder, so I'm going to have it down most of the time anyway, just so I can read my fish finder and see the depth. But got a few nicks on it now, but this Johnson outboard was kind of beat up. I repainted it. I put 5 coats of white engine enamel because I want to put it back the way it was. Sanded between each coat, and I put 5 coats of engine enamel clear on top of there, and it made it really shiny. It looks good in the sun. It looks good all around. Then I found a place online that had the original stickers from 1969, 68, 67, 70. Every year whatever year they built the Johnson in, they've got new decals for that. So I ordered a decal set so I could put them back on there, and they look really good as well after I painted it. So it kind of looks like a newer a new 1969 motor, but I mean it's got everything. Everything works on it. It runs real good. Again, like I say, I got that other video there, a little short video. On this side here, I have my pole connection. You can see that there. It's wired in with the corrugated stuff as well. And then here, I have my little pump. Move this box out of the way. I have my little pump. It pumps 600 gallons an hour. I don't really think I need a whole lot. If a boat gets over halfway full, it's over with anyway. The batteries are going to short. All the wires are going to be gone. I ain't going to be able to use it no way. So, but if it's raining or you get a little water in the boat and you want to get it out, 600 gallons a minute, or an hour rather. And then I've got that run through up through the little it's kind of a brace there for the transom, but I got it running up, and I didn't put a hole through my boat. I just couldn't do it after all the fixing. You can see all this is a block of wood, and got 2 stainless steel screws going into the aluminum, and I put that through there instead of through the hole, and that way it'll shoot the water out of my boat but not through it, and I didn't have to put another hole in there. It's a pretty good size hole that you have to drill in your boat. And then of course it's wired up to the switch block up here too. If I turn it on, you can hear it. I do have a transom saver I put on there. That's kind of something you don't see on small boats, but I wanted not to flex my transom as much as I had to with the motor bouncing up and down on the back. Did put new bunk boards on the back. I put longer ones on the trailer, and I had a roller in the middle, and then those 2 bunk boards I already showed you. And then we have the LED lights on the back, and we have LED side markers. And then we actually have a side marker in the middle. And then we have a side marker up on the front of our trailer. A lot of lights for a little boat, but you know, what the heck. that's pretty much the boat in general, y'all. I'm gonna, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be glad to answer them. What I got, where I got it, how much it was. But we will talk about what it costs to do a boat the way I've done it. And let me change places here. All right, guys. To do a boat the way I've done this one, like I said, I give $500 for the boat, trailer, and motor. The motor itself, I replaced the water pump, new set of points, carburetor. I mean, not carburetor, but fuel pump, water pump, and let's see, new plug wires, a lot of wires, plugs. I wound up putting $300 into the motor above what I purchased it for. That wasn't that bad to get the motor back running. It was very salvageable. It runs great. Everything works on it. Had a professional look at it and keep it for a while and kind of go through the whole thing. Wound up putting $300 in that. And as far as the boat itself, you know, like I say, some of that paint's $100 a gallon. We did new lights, new wiring on the trailer, new tires, trolling motor, the flooring, all the wiring, the 2 batteries, electrical stuff, all the lights and everything that I ordered to put on it, rod holders, making the cooler, used the seats that came on the boat. Like I said, they're not that good looking, they're kind of ugly, but they work real well. But everything I done for it, given the fact that I gave $500 for the whole shebang to start with, and was usable at that time except for the motor, I've now got $2,200 in the boat itself altogether. So the reason I'm happy with that is because I did a lot of stuff to it, and I made it where it's really usable for a long period of time. And my kids and grandkids maybe can use this boat. But when I wanted to get a boat, and I priced a new 14-foot John boat, they were $1,800 to $2,100. $1,800 to $2,100 just for the boat. I didn't have a trailer, didn't have a motor, didn't have seats, didn't have trolling motor, didn't have nothing. It just had a John boat that could float. That was it for, you know, around $2,000. And I've got that in the whole thing with the motor boat and the trailer, so I didn't do too bad. That gives you an idea what I put into it or what it may cost you to redo something. It took 3.5 months to do it. But it's water ready and ready to go. It works great, and we enjoying it. It fishes well, gets up in places other people can't. But I will do a video as well for at night to show you what the lights look like at night for the interior and the navigation and the headlights. I'll let you see that. So look forward to that. Thanks again for coming to the 10 Gauge Outdoors. And again, if you have any questions about what I did, let me know. I'll be glad to try and answer them best I can. And y'all have a good day. Eric Monaghan with 10 Gauge Outdoors. Till we see you on the next one.